Train travel came to Whitby in 1847, and by the end of the century, it had helped turn a small fishing village into a bustling seaside resort of fashion. Visitors came to admire the romantic ruins of Whitby's Abbey, but I'm here to investigate its more chilling claim to fame. Do you know you're in Dracula's town?
Oh yes, I do. Yes.
Do you know how Dracula arrived in Whitby?
No.
Do you know the story of Dracula?
Well, really, yes. Yeah, I thought it was a ship, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a ship. And have you come to Whitby because of Dracula?
No, I haven't. No, we've just come for a girls' night out, which we had last night.
Was there much blood sucking involved?
Oh, well, I'm not telling.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
What weapon do you use to see off a vampire?
Well, I don't want to brag, but I do have a lot of garlic in the kitchen, ready and waiting. So I'm more than willing to take him on.
And what's the way of killing off a vampire?
A stake through the heart, I would think.
Do you have any stakes in the kitchen? Probably the
Only
wrong
meat.
sort. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, published in 1897, recounts how solicitor Jonathan Harker and other innocents fall victim to the terrifying vampire count. Stoker used Whitby as the location for some of the book's most dramatic scenes. Famously, Dracula arrived by ship from Transylvania here in Whitby. What's less well known is that Jonathan Harker writes of one of his first encounters with the Count in his castle. I found the Count lying on the sofa, reading of all things in the world, an English Bradshaw's Guide. It's not reassuring that Dracula and I share the same taste in books. As the rain descends, I need no convincing that this is a perfect setting for a tale of horror. Welcome to Whitby. Ideal weather for my terror tour with Harry Collett. If I were a betting man, I would wager that you know something about Dracula dressed like that.
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
Why do you think Bram Stoker chose Whitby for this Gothic novel?
He came here as a holiday. Stoker came, took residency in the Royal Crescents, and for the first week of his month-long holiday, he stayed by himself whilst his family came up by rail from London. And during that week, the Irishman started to put pen to paper to write a play. The play ultimately became the novel Dracula.
The Count brings terror to Whitby after a shipwreck that reeks of the supernatural. And when the ship arrived, that was a pretty frightening moment for people. Just describe its arrival.
Big storm, pulled in, crashed onto the beach, and there they found the captain dead, lashed to the steering wheel, clutching his crucifix and his rosary. On to Tate Sands, through the harbour entrance, running aground on Tate Sands. And of course off that ship leapt a large black dog with saucer-like eyes and fang-like teeth to go and run, helter-skelter, up the 199 church stairs and go and hide in the graveyard.
And who was that fearful hound?
Dracula himself. Welcome to the Screaming Tunnel.
Screaming tunnels.
Yes. That's because it said that if you venture in here after dark, you might meet you-know-who. Well, we did say to you that this was the Screaming Tunnel. So after 3, I would like you to fill your lungs and have a good, long scream.
You must be joking. I'll get arrested for that, won't I?
I doubt it.
Okay, here goes. How was that?
Excellent.
I feel better for that. Another fantastic view of Whitby. That's beautiful.
It is. It's one of the best views in the town, this.
One of the first times we meet Dracula in the novel, he is actually reading Bradshaw's timetable, isn't he? What's he doing?
He's working out how to get the 50 coffins of earth, which he brings with him from Transylvania into Whitby, how to get them down to the railway station in Whitby to catch the 9:30 express to London, which will get him there at 5:30 the following afternoon. Even to the undead, Bradshaw's railway timetables were indispensable. The last stop on my Dracula tour is also where I shall spend the night. Oh, pretty blowy out there. The Royal Hotel. Bram Stoker used to write here, is that right?
He did indeed, yes. Yes, he
was in one of our reading lounges upstairs. That's now guest accommodation.
And where am I staying?
You're in room 101, which is on the first floor, sir.
101.
Have a wonderful stay with us.
And will I sleep well?
You sleep very well.
Thank you. Bye. Bradshaw's guide says Dumbarton is built in a level tract of country near the confluence of the River Leven and the Clyde, and I can see behind me the very point where the two rivers meet. And it says it also has the advantage of possessing a spacious and convenient harbour. And that strikes me as pretty sad, because I'm on the site of what was once Denny's shipyard. And there's nothing left. I can hardly believe it. In Bradshaw's time, Denny's was just one of several shipyards that occupied the banks of the river. In the 19th century, the railways helped the yards to expand, bringing coal and metals to the slipways. By the early 20th century, 1 in 5 of the world's ships was built on the Clyde. Bruce, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm meeting Bruce Biddle, whose family worked in the shipbuilding trade. Is this really the site that was once Denny's shipyard?
Yeah, this is it. It stretched from the rock over there and right along the river, just to before that tower. And you had 3 or 4 slipways here. And the reason they could build the ships so big here was because they launched them down this river into the Clyde.
Now, I came here today by train, but there's no sign of railway lines around here. Were there railway lines?
Oh yes. There were 2 lines came off the main line into the Macmillan Yard and into Denny to supply materials. So, you know, they were big concerns.
An essential part of the process to get the steel in and so on.
Very much so, yeah.
Although the Clyde was well known for producing steamships, Dumbarton's shipyards also built one of the world's most famous sailing ships, the Cutty Sark. She was launched right here in 1869. Now this is a bit puzzling to me. What were they doing building a sailing ship at the end of the 19th century?
Well, in part it was prejudice on the ship owner's part. It'd be because they didn't trust steam entirely. But apart from that, prior to the Suez Canal opening, the sailing ship was actually more reliable going round the Cape in Africa on the Indian and Chinese trades. It's a bit like now with electric cars. We can build them, but we don't have the facilities to look after them. And in those days it was much the same idea. A lack of engineers and a lack of facilities if the ship broke down. So sailing ships were still pretty viable in those days.
The Cutty Sark was a new type of composite sailing ship. She had an iron frame and a wooden hull, and on the trade routes to Australia, she was even faster than the best steamships. She was originally commissioned by a Scottish entrepreneur who gave her her unusual name. I've never understood what Cutty Sark means. Where did the name come from?
Oh, it comes from a Burns poem, Tam O'Shanter. Tam gets drunk one night and he sees the witches and the devil having a bit of a cavort. And he spots one young witch who's rather pretty, and she's dressed immaculately in white, and he's captivated by her. And he can't help himself, and he jumps up and he shouts, "Well done, Cutty Sark." And Cutty Sark refers to the white shift that she's wearing. So if you can imagine a large sailing ship covered in sail, then she just looks like a white shirt on the sea.
Denny's shipyard continued to produce innovative ships right up until the 1960s, but increasing competition from abroad finally forced it to close. One part of Dumbarton, at least, hasn't changed since Bradshaw's day. My guidebook says, "The ancient castle of Dumbarton stands on the summit of a high and precipitous two-headed rock and is a place of great antiquity." If Bradshaw returned, perhaps only the sight of the great fortress securing the harbour would convince him that he was in Dumbarton. Here you are, Andrew, beautifully positioned under the clock.
Nice to meet you.
Very good to see you. My Bradshaw's guide tells me that Waterloo had many railway offices and departments, and I think you're going to tell me about a rather unusual one, aren't you?
Yes, it was also the terminus of what was rather irreverently known as the Stiffs Express, a line that carried dead bodies to the largest cemetery in the British Empire at Brookwood in Surrey. And you could have a whole funeral service based around this railway line. The service could be conducted at this end or at the end of the cemetery, but either way you put your relative onto the train and they had a one-way ride to Brookwood. You yourself, as the mourner, had a return ticket.
The all-inclusive service was run by the London Necropolis Company, which was set up in the 1850s. They had discreet offices and even their own funeral platform just next door to the station.
Waterloo would have been a very railway-haunted area, the constant rattle and clatter of the trains coming in and going out every minute over the viaducts, over the high level, and even in death, they were trying to fit you into a railway timetable.
So this facade, this splendid facade, is the Necropolis station, is it?
This is what survives of the whole Necropolis complex.
Why were they sending all these bodies out of London?
Well, they thought it was a good business proposition, but it was also a response to a genuine crisis, a shortage of burial space. In the first half of the 19th century, the population of London about doubled, and there were bits of skeletons lying about in churchyards. So they needed space to bury bodies. And it would be discussed since the 1840s that there ought to be a big cemetery safely far away from London so that cholera would not be an issue, and the bodies would be transported there on this newfangled invention, the train.
At its busiest, each train carried up to 48 bodies, along with the various funeral parties. At the cemetery, there were two purpose-built stations, one for Anglicans and one for other denominations. So you brought me up quite a long staircase, well, up at the level of the railway viaduct.
We're now behind the office part of the Necropolis complex, and the hearses would come sweeping in through this archway, and then the bodies would be lifted by an electrical lift up to the actual Necropolis station on the viaduct there.
What sort of carriages did they travel in?
The carriages were funeral carriages and passenger carriages. Both were divided into first, second and third class.
Sorry, I have to stop you. Are you telling me the bodies went first, second or third class?
You might think, why would you send your maiden aunt first class? You could easily save a bit of money. Sending her third, she wouldn't know the difference. But I think they took more care with your coffin if you went first. And whether you bought a first, second or third class ticket for the corpse would correspond to the type of funeral that you bought. So if you bought one of the fancier funeral packages, a first class ticket would go with that.
Before long, it wasn't just the dead who were taking advantage of the third-class fares.
A lot of people would kind of sneak on to the funeral service, even if they weren't burying anyone, especially golfers, because there was a good golf course near Brookwood Cemetery.
So now I have an idea in my mind of golfers dressed in black pretending to be mourners.
I'm assuming that golfers did not wear garish yellow checked jumpers in those days. If so, I don't think they could have masqueraded as being in mourning. And what they did with their golf clubs, I don't know.
The business ran successfully for almost a century, but today just hints of the line remain. And so, when did the last stiff express puff out of here?
April 1941. And then later in that month, there was a big bombing raid. And not only was most of the Necropolis complex here destroyed, but the funeral train was blown up into the bargain, and that was curtains.